Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you back. I want to thank you, give you all my love and gratitude for showing up, um, for your subscriptions, and just for your presence. Always remember, to take what resonates with you. I try to bring through things as positively as I can. But I have a beautiful reading in front of me, and I really wanted to share it with everyone. So, if you'll just be patient, I really am trying to make these a little more quicker. Um, my details are usually in the description box below. However, during this time, I am not taking any personal readings or private readings. Um, so that will probably open up later in the year, I do believe. But we do have the White Phoenix Odyssey server over on Discord. It's a small group, it's quaint, but I think that everyone enjoys the bi weekly Zoom meetings that we have. They go pretty well. Um, and so you are welcome there with open arms and open hearts. So I will go ahead and get started. Know that I always clear the energies before I do these readings so that I can just jump in. um, and so we will go ahead and begin now. This is a little bit different. When I pulled from the Declare and Decree deck, two cards popped out. Also, with the Diary of a Spiritual Black Sheep deck, both these decks are done by an excellent reader. Um, Her name is Shavi Zane. So, if you want to purchase these or see how she uses them, then you can go and view her on YouTube. So, anyways, this first card that came out, see if I can get it here. I don't know if you can screenshot these. If you want to do these, you can screenshot them. You can write it down on a piece of paper, light a candle, set your intention, and burn the paper, release it in any way that you need to. Always remember that when we are releasing things, these things come in layers. So, emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical, which means um, we may be called to a point where we are asked to actually make a physical decision, right? So, when setting boundaries, sometimes we are called to actually state those boundaries um, in this physical realm. Anyway, this one is all internal blockages created by myself or others are cleared from my energy in spirit and in flesh. Okay. The next one is all fear of letting go of the past to pursue my destiny are cleared from my energy in spirit and in flesh. Okay. So, really, when I pulled these cards, I felt like, wow, that's kind of a breath of fresh air, right? I mean, it's not anything dark or dismal. It is just a matter of clearing any blockages to our purpose, right? To our destiny and letting go of those people, places, and things which no longer serve our highest good. And Spirit was bringing this to me this morning that doesn't always necessarily mean that a person, place, or thing is bad, right? It's just no longer healthy for us personally. It no longer serves a purpose in our on our path. Um, and so sometimes in letting go of people, it's kind of like moving jobs, right? You want to make sure that you're not really burning any bridges when you're letting go. There is a way to peacefully let go of the past, to come to that point to where we recognize that maybe we are taking a different direction, um, than where we were when these people, places, and things first entered our life. So to really just give ourselves the permission to let go with peace and gratitude in our heart. Okay. Now, the spiritual, black sheep, right? Um, Two messages came through. One here, it says, you may be wondering if this is the right time to pursue that creative idea. Well, the answer is yes. Take that vision and turn it into a masterpiece. You will have everything you need to invest in your passions. All you have to do is come out of a mental conflict and invest into your idea to create a solid foundation. The seeds you plant now will reap an abundant harvest later. And I love this message because we are coming into the eclipse, the lunar eclipse in Pisces, the first week of September, I believe the 7th. And this is really a time where we are letting go of those things. We're called to let go of those people, places, and things that kind of have us blocked emotionally, right? They have our, and it creates a block to our intuition also. So if you kind of think about water, right? When we think about water, and being the water being able to reflect an image. We all love those visuals, those photos where we see mountain lakes and you can see the reflection of the lake in the water, right? But if you think about it, that water is still. If we were to put rapids, white rapids, right, running water, moving water, in the same place as a still lake, the mountains would not reflect in it, right? So it tells me that we really need to be in this place of stillness. Now, does that mean that we just sit still and we don't do anything? We don't talk to anyone, we don't go anywhere, and how long does that last? It's really more about being in the present moment. It is about tapping into that emotional space within us, right? And when we really tap into that emotional space, we can sometimes get a little teary eyed, or we can start to feel, heat rise. Maybe it is something that triggers an old anger or an old frustration, um, that sort of thing. And so it is to use that time to calm the emotions, to still the emotions, to find how do I bring peace to this white rapid within me, this water that is bubbling up within me, right? How do I find peace in this situation with this person, place, or thing? And is it something that I can really let go of? Like, because when we choose to let go of things, there's always that moment where it comes back around, right? Something comes back around and asks us, are we sure that this is what we want? Are we sure we don't want to repeat this, right? It asks us to remember why we chose to let this go in the first place. So it's really taking things to a deeper level, right? It's not just surface. We're not just saying things from our ego, right? We're saying them from the heart because we finally come to this place where we see the purpose of it. We see the purpose that it has served. We find that there is no longer a need for that purpose. and we let it go and we have faith, right? We trust that divine within us, those inner instincts to lead us and guide us through this time of releasing and letting go, so that as we come into the second eclipse, we can begin to see those manifestations, those hopes, those dreams becoming more clear, right? Those new beginnings that we like. They start to take a little more of a clear form, right? And in this case, Spirit is recognizing that there is someone here who has this creative dream within them. They have this idea, but they're kind of wobbling like, why am I feeling this way? You know, can I really do this? Do I have everything that I need within me to bring this creative project forward? And if I do, right? Is there a fear within me that is worried about what other people may think, say, do, feel, to be able to bring that through without the worry of judgment or condemnation, to know that we are all that we need to be in this moment, okay? To come out of that mental conflict so that we can finally invest in our idea, because this idea is one that is going to create a solid foundation. It is the seed. It is the seed that if we can just bring ourselves past this fear of letting go, it will create a solid foundation and reap an abundant harvest later, right? The second spiritual black sheep card that I pulled is here. It says, if you need to color outside the lines, do it with purpose and conviction. All right? You've made mistakes in the past and shared your energy with the wrong people. This took you on a karmic cycle and brought a lot of lessons that taught you how to treat yourself. Now you honor your body and recognize the importance of welcoming those who are a direct reflection of how you treat yourself. Now, this card in itself is telling me that these people, places, and things, really it's more about the relationship, right? Those relationships that reflect the relationship that we have with ourselves, that we have with our higher power, that our angels, our guides, our ancestors, source, that part of us which knows, which sees beyond the veil, right? And this is a sacred part of us. For me, Spirit brought it to me that, okay, one of the ways that I can honor this space to show that I value that part of myself as something sacred, they were showing me money, right? Well, money can't buy love, right? Money really can't buy that sacred part of us. And so I kind of sat with it and I'm like, okay, money. So, money, what does money buy? And then it was a whisper almost that it's not about what it can buy, right? It's about preserving that sacred place within us. It is about recognizing the value of that which dwells within us, that spark of life that is pure, it is innocent, it is true. How do we want that to look? And the way that we spend this currency, right? This energy, the way that we give it and what we receive in return for it should reflect the value, the true value of that energy within us. So if I see and view that energy as being bound and tied and limited, then the relationships that I draw into my field, are going to reflect that bondage. They are going to reflect that limit, right? And so this is really about recognizing that those that we are being asked to let go of, perhaps they entered our life in a time where we did not see that value within us. And it doesn't mean anything good, bad, or sideways about anybody else. It just means we have grown, we have expanded, we have finally seen that purity and that innocence and that power within us. And now we are saying we want to draw in those relationships which are going to reflect that sacred light, the one that money can't buy, right? I mean, who doesn't want that soul tribe, right? That star family. We crave that. We crave that connection. And Spirit is showing us that this is what we need to do in order to draw that in, right? Because this is going to bring us not only, say, new family, friends, but coworkers, colleagues, those who maybe can teach or assist us as we bring this new idea and this new creation into form. And they're letting us know, don't worry about coloring outside the lines. As an old rule, those preschool and kindergarten teachers, they wanted to know that you could follow inside the lines. It was about your hand-eye coordination, right? It was about being able to follow directions, to stay within a structure. But haven't we grown from that? We can color inside the lines for the rest of our life. It is up to us. And there is nothing wrong with doing that. But for those who want to color outside the lines, Spirit saying, go for it. You got everything you need. Everything you need. Right? Now, I did use the deck of the Orishas, and here it is. I will be using the book on this because this is still a new deck. I'm really just now learning how to use it. But as I was going through the readings in the book, I mean, it's just such a beautiful reading. So I wanted to share it. The first card that we have here, and please forgive me for anyone who knows this deck or has any experience with the Orishas. I try not to murder these names and these titles. It's, my own, inability to pronounce some of these things. It's not out of any disrespect at all. So this first one, the card says Eleba, but the book says Elegua. Okay, it's the same card. It's just, I don't know what happened with the print. So the meaning of this one is it is related to jobs, progress in one's work or job. There will be abundant productivity, profitable advertising campaigns. Your message will be well received. There will be tempting and practicable offers. Vitality, okay? So, Spirit is saying, there is going to be progress. But I think whatever it is, right? Whatever that creative idea is, where you want to color outside the lines, where you want to bring your light to something, right? And share it with someone else, right? At work. This is something that will return that value. Remember, they said this would be setting solid foundations that will bring in a harvest later, right? So we really have a lot of support and encouragement here from Spirit saying that releasing these, giving ourselves that time to release that which is not serving our highest good anymore, to be prepared to welcome in the new, right? It's going to bring about that productivity. Okay. The second card that I have here is Ogun. All right. These things can sometimes look a little crazy and wild. But the meaning is the spirit triumphs and prevails over matter. Good overcomes evil. Intelligence exercises supremacy over brutality. Conquered enemies. You will win in any contest. Love is conjured up to reject and repel hate. A nature that is benevolent, but at the same time strong, compelling, precipitate, and impulsive. Tenacity and courage will be needed. You will bring anything you have started to a conclusion, and nothing, not even the smallest detail, will be omitted. Okay? Activities and business related to metallurgy, romantic, um, grandiloquent, love, everything related to botany and groves, vegetarian, and naturistic tendencies. All right. So, really, whatever the fear is, right? Whatever the fear is that sometimes, we're talking about business here, right? Obviously, Spirit has now brought it up in two different cards. So, we're really talking about business. All right. So, this is dealing with finance. This is dealing with money. This is dealing with that currency within us, the value that we give and the value that we receive. Now, sometimes we can be afraid, right, of the competition, or we can be afraid of what we perceive as an enemy. What if someone comes along and steals it, right? What if someone comes along and sabotages it? What if someone comes along and says you're not doing it right because you are coloring outside the lines, right? Maybe someone doesn't like what we have created or done, and they're saying, well, now I'm not, that's not going to be good enough. So I'm not going to give you the value that you're seeking. Like, these things can bring up a lot of challenges. And that's one of the reasons why we're letting these um, people, these relationships with people, places, and things that came in during an older version of us that wasn't grown, that hadn't expanded. We're releasing those now. And Spirit's really saying, you release this, you let it go, have faith, be confident, right? Come through this with conviction. Give it the conviction that you deserve, that your light deserves. Okay? Because when you do, that in itself is going to break through any of the barriers that could have been set there by yourself or anyone else. Your knowing, right? Your courage, your tenacity, your conviction, and exercising that, knowing I am free. and I am a sovereign soul, and I have the power to bring this through to fruition, and then acting on it is going to blow those blockages out of the water. Okay. And then we have the Four of Fire. Okay. Now, the Four of Fire, I'll show you here. This is really cool because they're on a beach, right? They're on the seashore. And in the background, in some of these pictures, I have what is called like a boneyard beach, right? And this is, I don't know if any of you have ever visited any of the boneyard beaches around the United States. There are really some beautiful beaches. They have, it's just a washed up deadwood, right? It's the shore where just years and years and years of um, being in the salt air and having the salt water and the sand and the sun and just the elements beating on them. It's just amazing that some of them are still standing. It's a really serene place to be. It's just, I don't know, it kind of takes the breath away. It brings in that stillness, right? And in this card, it says thankfulness and recognition of all favors, help, and cooperation received collectively or individually, but representing the majority, social, family, community, or work group. Humility in isolated or connected acts, which gradually and systemically bring prosperity, happiness, joy, and peace. And so they're really reminding us that even with this conviction, right? Even with this bold move, we could call it sometimes, right? In clearing out these energies and bringing forward that which is new, right? That dream within us. It isn't about ego, right? It's more about the heart. There is an ounce of humility, at least, in that which we are now grateful for the experience that has led us to this point. We are grateful for that clearing. We are grateful for the space that is there that allows room for this seed to grow and to expand into that solid foundation. And so it is a reminder to bring in that gratitude, to operate in that gratitude, right? And the next card that I have here is the Nine of Fires. And this person has really been through it. I mean, the Nine of Wands is a card of perseverance. It is a card of literally being right there at the finish line and wanting to give up, wanting to lay down, wanting to let go, right? But in this deck, it is a time of apparent inactivity because your actions will be more mental and or spiritual as you enter a stage of self-improvement during which it is necessary to save energy. For that purpose, it is advisable that you refrain from material things to reach higher levels of consciousness, such as abstaining from alcohol or sex, or maybe extra spending, like going out to dinner, buying that new hat, or those fuzzy socks, or a painting for the wall, right? And it's reminding us that this is bringing us into a time of stillness where it is going to look or be seen or be perceived as though we're not doing anything at all. But we know from earlier in the message that there is a whole world stirring around inside of us, a whole world waiting to be awakened, a whole creation that is going to bring about a solid foundation, one with a great harvest that brings the abundance, that brings the prosperity, that brings the highest good for all those involved. And so while it may seem or appear as though we are doing nothing at all, there are rivers and oceans and lakes within us that are going to be stirring, right? They're going to be calling in that stillness, that peace, so that we can see our true reflection in those waters. And we can ask, is this something that is serving my highest good? Right? And so this is a time when we're being called into that stillness to actually conserve our energy, because there will be a time when we are called to act on it, where we're going to be called to speak and do and bring it into the physical form. And that time is going to require energy. And so it's like Spirit saying, okay, let's bring it home for a little while. Let's come into that place of peace and rest and rejuvenation. Let's take a look at what's stirring those waters up. Because in order to have white rapids, right? When you think about white rapids, look at what's in that water, the rocks and the old trees and the dead growth that is jutting out from underneath and on the edges. As the current flows over it, it causes that white water, right? That's splashing up against the edges, that are being caught in the dead branches along the shores. So we're asked to remove those rocks, right? To calm those waters, to enter that place of peace and stillness, so that we can conserve our energy, that we can bring it home and say, you know what? This is not bringing peace. This is not bringing the stillness that I need. It's drawing my attention, my energy away from bringing out this creative idea, because obviously Spirit thinks it is a worthy idea of bringing out. And if anyone is having any issues in knowing whether it is worthy or not, whether it will grow roots or not, then it is to go within and say, why would I not see that value? Because that value exists within us. And then we have, this is going to be a hard one for me to pronounce. It is Zapana Shapana. Zapana Shapana, I think. I don't know. Don't mark my words for it. Again, it's out of no disrespect, right? The meaning is a high fraternal and spiritual sense, charitable and humanitarian power, spirit of service, strong imagination and organizing mind, strongly sensitive to the pain of others, both physical and spiritual. He is always willing to cooperate as much as possible. And this quality becomes more becomes more noticeable with the passing of time. All right. It says a process of illness that comes to an end, a recovery and improvement from a state, interference with joints and bones. Its influence extends to dermatological levels. Now, we're talking about our bones, our joints, right? Our bones are that solid foundation. They carry us, they allow us to stand. Our joints allow us to come out of that lying position into a standing position. Dermatological issues, that which we show the world, right? When someone looks at us and sees us, the first thing they see is our skin. And so it's like Spirit is saying, this is not just releasing what doesn't serve us. It's not even just releasing what has been keeping us from bringing about this new venture, this new idea, this new creation, these new dreams and hopes and foundations, right? It's going to bring about healing, a healing that will be noticeable. There will be no denying the changes that have taken place. And we have the salamander here. So our salamander here, okay, the meaning of this card may represent a man or a woman in his or her 40s, doesn't have to be. You could be 20 years old and have the experience of a 40-year-old, the wisdom, right? That old soul, right? So this card may represent a man or a woman in his or her 40s or with much experience in life who fights for the ideals and who is a great thinker, strategist, army officer, or ruler. His or her will is strong, and he or she is dynamic and optimistic as well as realistic and rational. When appearing with other cards that are unfavorable, this card warns about physiological disorders, imbalance, and slow metabolism. We really don't have any unfavorable cards here, but if you are experiencing things like the slow metabolism, any physiological disorders or imbalances, I'm hearing like even nervous tics, that sort of thing, then simply allowing yourself to be who you are, to bring in that compassion and that forgiveness and that self-love, and to allow yourself to release that which is not serving us is going to really bring in that healing, right? Because this is someone who is a great thinker. They're a strategist. I mean, this is the second time these cards have brought up planning, organization, thinking, strategy, right? So, a lot of what we don't realize is sometimes we can be holding on to the feelings and the emotions or the pain and the sorrow of having already let go of something or someone. And those pains and those sorrows are still kind of bubbling under the surface, even though we're going on with our day. Daily, every day, day in, day out, they just kind of get shoved down. So really clearing these out is going to clear up the thought process, right? It's going to bring clarity so that we can see that strategy, we can see that plan, we can organize and think things in a way which will help us operate efficiently, right? And oh, yes, yes, yes. The fairies. And of course, my card dropped out on this one. I don't know why. I think it was, no, was it the fairies themselves? Um, no, it wasn't. It just looks like, I'm sorry for a moment. It's a message from air. I have a little too far away from me. So we have our message from air here. Let me find that because, like I said, my card. All right. So our meaning is stick to what you, now this was the bottom of the deck. Okay. And so this is the message off the bottom of the deck. Oh, wow. Fairies and selves is right under it. That's crazy. All right. But I'm not going to read that. I'm just going to go with this. So it says, stick to what you have agreed and do not let yourself down. You have the inspiration and protection necessary to finish your work, creation, project, task, or procedure. Okay? Negative things will disappear and your capacity will be seen. Tune up your senses and train yourself more intensively because there will be great prospects for you. I mean, you know, this is like a dream come true reading. Okay. Like every single thing that has come out in this reading has been encouragement for spirit, from spirit, right? It has been spirit really coming through and saying, hey, if you're worried, right? If you're a little scared, right? Um, if you're feeling nervous or confused or doubtful, just let it go. That's the lie. That's the illusion. It's okay to let it go. It's okay to be a little afraid, right? But it's time to let that fear go. And if that means releasing a person, a place, or a thing that is not reflecting your true value, you have every bit of support and encouragement and love and protection available to help you get through that. Because there is a great idea, there is a grand adventure, there is a new creation that is stirring up within you that this world is just waiting to see. And any challenges to that, any obstacles to that, you have everything you need to overcome them. Don't worry about the what ifs. Let the what ifs go. Because when that challenge, when that obstacle shows up, you will know what you need to do and you will have everything you need to do it. Right? I think it's beautiful. So anyway, as always, I kind of pulled, I thought this is such a beautiful energy. Let me pull some of my little emotion cards, right? And one of the cards that come out was grumpy. We have grumpy. We have dread. And we have jealous. And I thought, good Lord, like that is not the energy that I just read. That is the energy that is being released. It has to be the energy that is being released. I can't imagine, but it is the energy of the person that I just read. So right? We have grumpy here. I mean, what would make us feel grumpy, right? What would cause someone to feel grumpy? What are some of the things? Could we have received some kind of feedback from others suggesting that we appear grumpy or negative? Did we give feedback to someone because they appeared negative or grumpy? um, it could be someone who finds themselves easily annoyed, bothered by small things, you know, um, small inconveniences and disruptions. And it can be um, someone who has difficulty letting go of those frustrations. Um, it can even be someone, it's like making it bigger than it is, right? Like I get this energy that is someone making something bigger than it is or needs to be. And sometimes when we have this energy in our field, it could be us, it could be another person, right? And a relationship that we have. I remember a long time ago, my husband had said to me, you know, every morning you get up and you have um coffee and a phone conversation with so and so, and it just sets the tone for your whole day, and you come up and you're grumpy and you're just easily triggered, and things just don't seem to go right for you. And I had to stop and think about that, like, is that true? So I fasted from that person for a little while to see if my days got better, and sure enough, they did. Unfortunately, it was close family. Fortunately, I don't have that issue anymore. But it's really about what makes you grumpy. And so I asked, you know, and Spirit gave me two cards. All right. We have health issues and warning or alarm. And so sometimes it's not even about the people, places, or things. Sometimes it is about the way we care for ourselves, right? Or it could be someone in our environment who is not caring for themselves, who has health issues that they are ignoring, that they are avoiding, that they don't want to think about, they don't want to talk about, but they're there. It's kind of like my broken back, right? There's not really a whole lot that they can do about that. Um, without paralyzing me. So the pain is there. Some days it's greater than others. Some days it it doesn't, I don't even notice it at all. What makes my back hurt more? Getting up and lifting, you know, and moving around heavy furniture and doing things that I know I should not be doing, that are going to irritate my back and leave me now in healing mode for 3, 4, 5 days. So it could be one of those types of situations where we are not giving ourselves the care that we need, right? And maybe it's because we think that somebody else's issues are greater than ours. They deserve the care more than we do. Ah, but do they? Is it really about they? Or is it more about recognizing that true value so that we can draw in those relationships that do reflect that true value? instead of the broken pieces. Okay. Now, I also, I'm just going to give it to you the way I got it. With the dread card, I asked, why dread? I mean, that's a pretty big energy. This means that we feel this sense of impending doom, right? This is a state of fear. What could be causing such a state of fear? And I really do not feel like this is the person that I'm reading for. I feel like these are the people, places, and things that hold these energies that are in our field that need to be let go of. And I think you'll understand here in just a minute. Because the first card that came out was it's dread. It's a fear of being caught and possibly imprisonment. So we have someone out here who's grumpy, right? Who's in total dread and fear of getting caught and possibly locked up or blocked out, right? Because imprisonment doesn't mean that we're going to end up behind bars. Getting caught doesn't mean that we're going to a jail, right? But it can mean that we have some grumpy person over here who's probably said a few things or did a few things behind our back, obviously, because they're afraid of getting caught. And they're a little worried about that. Maybe they know it's time to go. But what within us attracts that energy? What within us feels a sense of dread, a sense of impending doom that attracts a person, place, or thing that would reflect that back to us? We have here a question. Are you feeling like something bad is going to happen even though you're not sure what it is? You can't put your finger on it? Do you feel like you're anticipating something with a sense of fear or apprehension? Are you nervous? Are you scared, perhaps, of bringing your creation out into the open? Are you having trouble sleeping or eating because of a feeling of impending doom? What makes us feel dread? Because we can clear away this dread, right? We can clear away this dread, and this grumpy person over here, or jealous person who's grumpy, but it's more about what is within us that attracts that. And when we recognize that and we clear it from our field and say, wow, I didn't realize I was doing this. I got you. I am so thankful for the insight. I am so grateful for this lesson. When somebody gets caught doing something that ain't good, that ain't right, that ain't a problem. We can tell them, take a hike. But if we don't clear that from our field, from our own energy, then we're just going to have another grump show up in another form. Right? So we have someone here who's grumpy, who's dreading that they're going to get caught, that they're going to get blocked, that they're going to get put out, that they're going to get whatever, I don't know, right? Who is jealous, and it's probably all out of jealousy. They did said something because they were jealous. And they're afraid of getting caught. And it's reflecting back to you because somewhere inside, we're a little triggered by our own dreams. We're a little triggered by the idea of framing that new piece of art and putting it up on the wall for people to see, and then asking money for it. Right? So we got someone over here who is jealous, all right, that feels a sense of frustration when others receive recognition or attention that they believe they deserve. Are you receiving attention? And you got someone in the background that says, oh, I deserve this attention more than they do. I deserve this recognition more than they do. I do bigger and better things. Well, do you? That's just Sybil talking to the little demon sitting in the back. Do you? Okay. Are you experiencing strained relationships or conflicts? That could be a strained relationship. Do we find it challenging to cultivate the self-confidence and the contentment with our own life accomplishments? Because if we are truly content with where we are and who we are, what we have accomplished, if we can recognize that, wow, I made it from hell to heaven, like, you know what I mean? Maybe not even that. Maybe you ran a mile for the first time. Maybe you walked a mile for the first time. I remember the first 246 steps that I was able to take after breaking my back. After all the tears that were shed in a hospital and a doctor's office, as professionals, experts were telling me, we can't guarantee you're ever going to walk. You might wiggle your toes and bend your knees right now, but it ain't looking good. And it ain't going to last. Getting up with that walker and taking 246 steps was scary. Especially with the voices of the radiologist in the background, in the back of my head saying, you get out of that chair and you could find yourself paralyzed from the chest down over a simple sneeze. So when I took those 246 steps, I was grateful that I was still able to take another one the next day. And sometimes that's all it takes. It takes recognizing something as simple as being able to get up and walk to the front door. That gratitude, right? Of where we've come to where we are. Because this jealous person over here is jealous because someone out here is developing meaningful relationships, compassionate relationships, healing relationships. This is someone who is developing relationships that have a deep connection, that are kind, are supportive, that are genuine, that are willing to sit and say, how do you feel? And listen. They have us feeling a sense of fulfillment and joy when we're able to make